Hi friends, I decided to make another video because I realized there are a lot of brand new sci-fi books that just came out that you have not heard of. And that's a guarantee. I don't know if it is a guarantee because ever since I pointed out the fact that a lot of people like to comment on the videos about how excited that they are, that they're hearing about books for the first time when I do new entries in the series of like books you have not heard of. Now I'm just getting people commenting being like, I've actually heard of all of these. You freaking idiot. I've read every single one of these books and you're stupid. That's exactly what the comments say. But whatever. The point is, I've recently added a lot of new sci-fi books to my shelves that were published in the last couple of months, and I wanted to share them with you guys in case you haven't heard of them. You haven't. We will be talking about 5 books today, and they are all space related. Yeah, they're all space sci-fi. There are many different forms of science fiction, but I would say the space opera is the most known, the most popular, and I do have 5 space operas to share with you today. So first on the list, let's just get started, is Ocean's Godori by Elaine Yu Cho. I did not look up the pronunciation for Godori, but it is a Korean card game, and I think that I'm pronouncing it correctly. Also, this is a glossy cover, so I don't know where it's gonna look best. This book purely was a cover purchase for me. It's no secret that I love a beautiful cover, and like, gosh darn, look at this. The colors, the style, she's stunning. Now, I haven't read this one yet, but it does sound like it's going to be in line with Becky Chambers. So if you're a fan of The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, is that what it's called? Yeah, that series. It seems like it's going to be for fans of that. Ocean Yoon is a disgraced space pilot living in the Alliance, which is Korea's galactic empire, I think. On her last mission, something went very wrong, and she has now been labeled as too quick with her gun. So she's not, they don't like her. But when her best friend Teo is accused of murdering his entire family, she and her crew of misfits have to go on a deep space adventure to solve the murder mystery. There's a lot of emphasis on her being Korean in this book. Most of the blurb, honestly, is about how she has never felt very Korean, and she is often left out or made fun of for not really fitting in with the rest of the Koreans around her. So a lot of this book does actually really focus on cultural and ethnic identity, which I think is an interesting take on a typical sounding space opera. There's also apparently a will they, won't they love story in here, which, you know, I'm not super excited about. I don't really care about love stories, romance in my books, but hey, you do, probably. I'm excited to see what this book reads like. It's compared to a lot of different things. It really seems like a mishmash of different genres and styles. It's compared to like Blade Runner, but also Becky Chambers in the way I said. It's got slow burn romance, tense negotiation, and like high action. And I'm always looking for more non-Western fantasy and sci-fi. So this is a book I'm really excited to have on my shelves, and I think you should put it on your shelves as well. The next book I want to talk to you guys about is actually the 3rd book in a series. So it's kind of a random one to put on here because it's like, yeah, you got to read the other ones first. But I'm putting it on here because I think that this series as a whole is so underrated, and I want more people to read it because it's the Fractus Sequence. Is that what it's called? The 3rd book in the Tenlo series, Ninth Life, just came out this year, but there are 2 others that you need to read first. Now, it's definitely possible you have heard of the first book, Tenlo, but that's not the one I'm including on the list, okay? It's Ninth Life. Tenlo was really popular a few years ago. I think it came out in 2022, and it's kind of like a Mad Max Mandalorian situation. And I don't know, it was popping off, and then it wasn't anymore. And it sucks because this is a great series. Tenlo is an ex-medic, ex-con, just barely surviving on the edge of the universe. To atone for her sins, sort of in her head, she decides to save a young girl from a wrecked spacecraft, but discovers that this girl is actually a bioengineered person, general, and works for the military that held Tenlo captive for a very long time. She also discovers an assassination plot against this girl, and is like, oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into? It's also giving Terminator, but like the new one. The one with the girls? I don't know. Tenlo's goal in book 1 is to get Gabriela Ortiz, this bioengineered general, off-world. And there are lawless wastelands, military hit squads, bandits, organ trafficking, lots of stuff. Lots of stuff. The second book, Hell's 8, continues on from book 1. And the third book, Ninth Life, which is the one that's technically the entry on this list, follows characters from book 1, but it is a little different. I think that this series is awesome. It's really fun. It's really gritty and hardcore and emotional. And on the back of book 2, it is described as cyber western, which is super freaking sick. You want to read a cyber western, guys? Come on. So again, the entry on the list is Ninth Life, the third book in the Fractus sequence. But yeah, I'm kind of telling you to also pick up Tenlo and Hell's 8 first, because they're really good. Book number 3. We've got a theme going on that I'm only just realizing now. And yeah, I know I said it's space operas, and it is, but it's murder mystery space operas. The book I'm about to talk about is probably the one that I am most excited for out of this list, truly. It's The Spare Man by Mary Robinette Kowal. And Mary Robinette Kowal has won a bajillion high prestige awards for her hard sci-fi and her very serious books. And this is also hard sci-fi serious, but it's 1920s space hotel, and it's very Gatsby. It is like over the top 1920s space crimes with lots of martinis and glittering and dancing and nods to just silly sci-fi things, like the fact that the main character's name is Tesla Crane. Anyways, Tesla Crane is on her honeymoon on an interplanetary space liner cruising between the moon and Mars. She's an heiress and a brilliant inventor, and she is like the most over-the-top ridiculous heroine. I am obsessed with her. I've only read the first chapter and read the back, and just look at her. I'm obsessed with her. But someone is murdered, and the festering chowderheads who run security have the audacity to arrest her spouse. Tesla and her tiny little dog named Gimlet are determined to solve the crime and get back to her honeymoon, because that is what is important. It's also blurbs by Andy Weir, the author of The Martian, and I think that's amazing. Like, the reason I'm so obsessed with this book before even reading it is the fact that this is a very prestigious, serious author, and it is blurbed by very prestigious, serious authors, but it is so ridiculous. The setup is so insane. I cannot wait to read it. And I'm gonna be reading it in my transatlantic accent the entire time and listening to jazz. Prepare for this lady, Tesla Crane, to become my entire personality in the future. And yours too, because you're gonna read the book. Speaking of space hotels with murder mysteries, book 4 is the same. But this is giving more 1950s Jetsons vibes, because it's Floating Hotel by who? Grace Curtis. So I'm saying 1950s Jetsons vibes because of the cover. That's sort of the situation I'm seeing here. But reading the blurb, it's almost like Murder on the Orient Express, Agatha Christie situation. Floating Hotel promises a huge cast of characters, all of whom have secrets. No one really knows what's going on the Floating Hotel. They just know that they're there having a good time, but also keeping things very secret. And ultimately, no one really knows who's running the Floating Hotel, who's piloting the Floating Hotel, where are we going, who are we, what is this? The main character is a man named Carl, who once was a stowaway on the Floating Hotel, but for most of the time he's been there, he's been the manager. He loves his job, he loves his life, this is all there is. But as forces beyond his understanding converge on the Floating Hotel, he's really got to put some of that into perspective. Is his life as the hotel manager more important than whatever else is going on? I really want to read this and Spare Man back to back because the vibes are so much the same. I know they're probably going to be quite different. I mean, are they though? Another trend I've noticed recently, there's a lot of space hotel, like luxury Titanic in space situations going on that honestly bring me back to the days of Airborne by Kenneth Opel, which was a formative reading experience for me as a child. And I love it so much. I love this trend. Space hotels, but it's the 1920s again. Who have I become in this video? I'm also very scared I'm gonna set myself on fire because I have long hair and I'm standing next to a candle. But there is one more book on this list that doesn't really belong here. It is a space murder, again. But as soon as I show you, you're gonna be like, I've heard of this. What are you doing? It's Heavenbreaker by Sarah Wolfe. And yes, Obviously, you've heard of this. Look at it. It's from Red Tower. They did Fourth Wing. Look at this beautiful book. But the reason I'm including it is because I don't think a lot of people realize that it is, in fact, science fiction. Red Tower has become known since Fourth Wing for creating, look, I'm gonna, these stunning sprayed edges, foiled naked covers, beautiful end papers, and they do romantasy. Romantasy is their bag. I literally have a section in my shelves. I can't show you right now, but I've got all the Red Tower books. Have I read any of them? Absolutely not. I don't like romantasy, you know this, but I do like beautiful books. This one's different because it's science. I think that a lot of people who don't like read the blurb necessarily, but they see this and they see who the publisher is and they just look at the packaging and they're like, ah, fantasy. No, 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 no. Science fiction. At the store, we were trying to come up with a name for romantic science fiction a la romantasy, and we came up with SCI-FI, which sucks. But then someone on Instagram said science fiction, which is hilarious. So this is science fiction. It's blurbed by Ziran J. Zhao, who is the author of Iron Widow. I was gonna say Iron Maiden. And it makes perfect sense that they are the one who blurbed this, because this is another giant mech Gundam kaiju things. Pacific Rim. No, I haven't read the book yet, and I don't really know what's going on from the blurb, but I do know that our main character has just murdered her father. They were enemies, so it's not sad. She is making House Hauteclair pay for something. This is a post-war world. I don't know. I don't know anything, but it's a post-war world, and there are big fighting machines left over from the war. So she is taking Heavenbreaker, a machine, and jousting, space jousting with other big machines, and every time she wins, one of her enemies dies. Something like that. But the thing that I'm interested in is that she's supposed to be alone inside Heavenbreaker. But no, she's not alone anymore, because there is something in there with her. Something evil that won't be stopped. I'm really hoping for some kind of horror element, but it's Red Tower, so I'm thinking it's still just gonna be mostly romance. Science fiction. Horror science fiction would be even better. I also am obsessed with the fact that the author, Sarah Wolf, has her twitch.tv handle in the back, so you can watch her on Twitch. I love authors that just go all out on their social media. And that's it. That was my relatively unhinged list of 5 brand new science fiction books that you have not heard of. And I think that that's true, except for Heavenbreaker. You know, you've probably heard of it, and like maybe Tenlo. But I don't know. I'm really excited about this new era of cozy sci-fi that seems to be coming about. It's like an offshoot of the cozy mystery and cozy fantasy genres that are making their way into space hotels and like just ridiculous Gatsby style murder mysteries. I love it. I love it. I think I'm gonna do a whole deep dive video eventually on cozy sci-fi, because it is totally a thing. Let me know in the comments if you have read any of these, or if you're planning to now that I've pointed them out to you for the very first time. Before I go, don't forget to like and subscribe and ring the bell icon so you know when I upload new videos. I upload 2 days a week. I love you guys. Goodbye.